The harvest moon bled across the sky like a wound torn open by the gods. It hung low and heavy over the village of Kaloa, casting crimson light on fields of dying maize. Every villager knew what this night meant. Doors were bolted. Fires were doused. Children were hushed into prayer. Because this wasn't just any harvest moon, this was the third since the return of Juma. It had been 5 years since his brother, Baraka, vanished into the hills, accused of witchcraft, and hunted by the very villagers he once protected. Juma never believed the whispers. Baraka was strange, yes, he spoke to trees, listened to the wind, and swore the river could speak, but he was kind, loyal, and brave. The kind of brother who shielded Juma from bullies and helped their mother until her dying breath. Still, the villagers grew fearful when the crops failed, when goats gave birth to stillborn kids, and babies were born with their eyes sewn shut. They called Baraka cursed. And when the chief's only son died screaming in the night, they came for him with spears and fire. Juma had tried to stop them, had begged them to spare his brother, but no one listens to a boy. The mob chased Baraka deep into the old forest, where the spirits dwell, and that night no one ever saw him again. Until last year. It started with the sound of humming, soft and familiar, like the lullaby their mother used to sing. Then the shadows twisted near the granary. Chickens were found drained of blood, their feathers arranged in spirals. And finally, at the peak of the red moon, the village's strongest warrior, Mosi, was found hanging upside down from the sacred fig tree, his chest torn open, heart missing. Juma knew. He felt it in the pit of his soul, in the way the air tensed when he walked through the fields. Baraka had returned. Not as flesh but as fury. His spirit was bound to the blood spilled unjustly. And now, with every harvest moon, he demanded the village pay its price. Juma had tried to stop it. He fasted. He prayed. He left offerings at the stone circle in the forest. But nothing worked. Last moon the healer died. This moon he feared it would be the children. And worse, he feared he would be next. As the sun dipped beneath the hills and the red moon glowed brighter, Juma stood at the edge of the village, staring into the woods. The wind carried a whisper. A name. His name. And a promise. Blood or fire. He turned back to his home, heart hammering. He had one night to stop it. Or feed it. But somewhere beyond the trees, a voice hummed. Sweet. Familiar. Full of sorrow. The blood moon had risen. And Baraka was hungry. Juma stepped cautiously into the forest, carrying nothing but a lantern and the weight of every unanswered question. Leaves rustled underfoot, not with the whisper of wind but as if the earth itself shifted to greet him. The air grew colder with each step. Behind him, the village lights dimmed into distant flickers. Before him, the ancient forest opened like a mouth. He hadn't entered these woods since Baraka vanished. Even in daylight, the forest felt wrong, its trees unnaturally tall, their trunks split and twisted like they had screamed in silence. Vines hung like nooses and thick moss covered forgotten bones of animals, and maybe more. The villagers called this place the Kizamwitu, the dark wild. Long ago they believed spirits dwelled here, exiled gods and broken souls, kept at bay only by respect and blood rites. But over the years, stories turned to whispers, then into cautionary tales told to misbehaving children. Only Baraka had believed the forest was alive. And now it seemed he had become part of it. Juma pressed forward, guided by the hum. It was louder now, threading through the branches like a memory he couldn't shake. The song had no words, yet it filled his chest with sadness and guilt. The way his brother used to sing when he thought no one was listening. The tune trembled with pain and betrayal. He followed the sound to a hollow tree split down the middle. At its base, a crude altar stood, bones piled in patterns, feathers of dead birds pinned by carved stones, and dried blood soaked into the bark. But it wasn't the altar that made Juma's breath catch in his throat, it was the totem hanging from the tree. It was Baraka's necklace. A string of carved wooden beads, dyed with berry juice, worn down by years of use. Their mother made it for him when he was just 10, to protect him from the old ones. Baraka never took it off. Juma reached for it, but as his fingers brushed the beads, a voice like cracking ice whispered in his ear. Too late, little brother. The forest went still. Every insect, every bird, every breath of wind, gone. Then the lantern flickered and died, plunging him into utter darkness. In that silence Juma heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, wet, dragging footsteps. From all directions. Then, laughter. Full. Echoing. Twisted. You let them take me, the voice said louder now, circling him. You watched while they tore me from the world. And now you dare come to stop me? Juma trembled, voice cracking. I didn't know, I was just a child. I tried to stop them, Baraka. I tried. The shadows closed in. The trees groaned. No more trying, Juma. The blood moon is mine now. And you? A cold hand gripped his shoulder. You are my offering. Juma screamed, stumbling backward into the bramble, tearing his arms as he thrashed. But the hand on his shoulder was gone. Only the chill remained, seeping into his bones. He scrambled to his feet, panting, spinning around, but saw nothing. No Baraka. No shadow. No whisper of movement. Just silence. Until the forest breathed. The trees swayed without wind, creaking like ancient joints awakening. And then, with a groan, the hollow tree split wider, revealing a narrow passage that pulsed with a dull red glow. Against every instinct, Juma stepped forward. This was why he'd come, to find the truth or die trying. The passage led underground. Roots twisted like veins above his head, dripping with cold dew. The red light came from beneath the ground itself, glowing fungi, like veins in the soil, illuminating faces carved into the walls. Dozens of them. All screaming. He recognized some villagers who had disappeared over the years. The healer. The warrior. Even Mosi. Their faces were twisted in agony, mouths frozen open as though still crying for help. Juma's stomach turned. At the center of the chamber, a pool of black water shimmered. Floating above it was a figure, translucent, barely held together by threads of light and smoke. Its eyes glowed with dying embers. Its chest had a gaping hole where a heart should have been. Baraka, Juma whispered. The figure opened its eyes wider. Its mouth curled, not in a smile but something far more hollow. You see me now. Juma fell to his knees. Tell me what you want, what will end this? Baraka lowered slowly to the ground, feet not touching it. What I want what was taken. My name. My blood. My life. The village stole them. And the land, the old gods, they heard my screams. They gave me a pact. Juma looked up, eyes wide. A pact. Baraka nodded, his voice like two tones layered over each other, one human, one not. Each harvest moon they demand what was taken from me. A life. A heart. A payment. Juma's voice trembled. If I give it, will they stop? Baraka laughed, bitter and broken. You think it ends, little brother? The land remembers. The curse grows with every drop. But you could change it. How? Baraka floated closer. The edges of his form rippled like smoke. Bring me one of them. One of the elders. The ones who chased me. Offer them under the moon and I'll spare the rest. Juma's heart dropped. He thought of the elders, the very people who sang hymns and led prayers, who claimed to protect the village. The same ones who watched Baraka be hunted like an animal. He clenched his fists. And if I refuse? Baraka's voice darkened, the air thickening like storm clouds. Then I take them all. One by one. Until the earth runs red. Juma looked down at his trembling hands. His brother had died an innocent. But what he'd become was no longer just spirit. It was vengeance, bound in blood and moonlight. And now Juma had to choose, betray his village, or bury his brother once again. Juma left the forest before dawn, his body aching, his mind splintered. Baraka's final words followed him like footsteps on his heels. Bring me one of them. The red moon still lingered, dimming as the first light of morning pushed against it. But the village did not wake to birdsong. It awoke to screams. The farmer's wife was found dead, her body suspended upside down from her roof beams, just like Mosi. Her eyes were gone. Her heart, a perfect circle torn from her chest, missing. Around her, feathers danced on a wind that didn't exist. Juma stood in the crowd as the elders gathered. Elder Weeksa, stooped, gray-bearded, once the most powerful voice in Kaloa, shook his head solemnly. This is darkness, he muttered. It is punishment. But not from spirits. From sin. Someone among us has invited this wrath. Juma watched him closely. The lines on the old man's face weren't just grief, they were fear. Guilt. Later that day, Juma visited the village's sacred house, where the elders kept the scrolls and relics of old. It was forbidden for the young to enter alone. But Juma no longer cared for rules. He searched until he found the record of Baraka's exile, burned into bark paper, kept beneath a stone carved with protection runes. And there it was. Baraka's name listed beside witchcraft. The evidence? He spoke with the wind. The harvest failed. The chief's son died the night Baraka was seen near the river. Juma read it again and again. No proof. Just fear. Baraka had been condemned on superstition and silence. But beneath the list in smaller writing, was something else, something Juma hadn't expected. Weeksa warned us, said the boy carried the old blood, that he would open the gate. The old blood. Juma remembered it now, how Elder Weeksa had once pulled Baraka aside when he was 12, had whispered things to him, had told him to keep his gifts quiet. Suddenly it all made sense. Weeksa had known what Baraka was, or what he could become. And when fear crept through the village, it was Weeksa who whispered loudest, who led the charge to hunt Baraka down. It had been a cover, not justice, a silencing. Juma left the sacred house with fire boiling in his blood. He no longer doubted what he had to do. That night, as the village mourned and children wept behind locked doors, Juma knocked on Weeksa's door. The elder opened it slowly, eyes narrowed. "What is it, boy?" he asked, voice sharp. "I found something," Juma said. "In the forest." He held out Baraka's necklace, still stained with dried blood. Weeksa's eyes widened. His hand trembled. Where did you find this?" "In the place you sent him," Juma said coldly. "And now he wants you back." The old man stumbled backward. "You don't know what you're doing. There are things older than curses, boy. That forest, he made a pact with demons." "No," Juma said, stepping closer. "You made the curse. He just became it." And before Weeksa could scream, the shadows behind him shifted. Baraka had arrived. The door slammed behind Elder Weeksa, sealing him inside with Juma, and the vengeful shadow of the brother he betrayed. Weeksa stumbled back, clutching his chest, wheezing as Baraka's form emerged from the darkness. He wasn't just spirit anymore. The harvest moon gave him shape, half smoke, half man, eyes burning like coals in a dying fire. "You should be dead," Weeksa hissed. "We gave you to the forest. You were consumed." Baraka's voice was ancient and layered now, full of decay and memory. "I was consumed and reborn. In roots, in rot, in wrath. You fed me to the old ones. Now I return as their blade." He raised a hand and the shadows in the room rippled, walls warping with the pulse of invisible energy. Juma flinched but didn't run. He had brought Weeksa here to face justice, but justice had no mercy tonight. Weeksa fell to his knees. "Listen to me. I only did what had to be done. You were dangerous. That blood, your mother's line, it was cursed." Baraka tilted his head. "No, not cursed. Gifted. You feared it. You feared me. And so you let the village believe I was a monster. You let them kill me." The elder trembled, voice breaking. "I was trying to protect the village." "Then let the village watch as you pay." Baraka reached forward, and vines erupted from the floor, binding Weeksa's arms and legs. He screamed as they dragged him toward the doorway, toward the open road leading into the forest. The trees beyond swayed eagerly, whispering in forgotten tongues. The forest was hungry. "Baraka, wait!" Juma cried, stepping in front of him. "This won't undo what was done. If you take him, it'll never end. The curse will never break." Baraka paused, his form flickering, unstable. "He is the curse. Let the roots drink his lies." Juma's voice steadied. "Then what? Another elder next year? And another? You'll become what they accused you of. You'll become their monster." Silence stretched, heavy as the mist creeping along the ground. Baraka's eyes dimmed for a moment. "Then what do you offer, brother?" Juma swallowed hard. "Me." The forest seemed to hold its breath. "I offer myself in his place," Juma said. "Let him live in guilt. Let the village live with the truth. But let the curse die with me." Weeksa sobbed behind him. Baraka floated forward, his voice now a trembling echo. "You would give your life, for his?" "For yours," Juma whispered. "Because you deserve to live. And because I couldn't save you then. Let me save you now." Baraka raised his hand, and for a moment, Juma felt the cold fingers of death brush his chest. But then, Baraka wept. "I remember now," he said, voice cracking. "The boy who ran after me. Who screamed for them to stop." The vines loosened. The red glow of the harvest moon flickered. Baraka looked at Juma one last time, eyes full of sorrow and peace. "Then let this be the final harvest." With that he turned. The vines dragged Weeksa into the forest, not to die but to wander. To see what he had created. To feel the silence of judgment. And Baraka stepped into the earth, his form dissolving into mist and memory, carried away by the wind. The next day the village found Juma unconscious on the edge of the woods, Baraka's necklace clutched in his hand. The harvest moon had faded. No more deaths followed. But each year on that night the wind still sings in the trees. A soft, sorrowful tune. The forest remembers. And it waits.